It's Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. That means it's time for the debut of the most anticipated show, the Riley and Constant Show, presented by the Sportscast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on all your channels YouTube, Periscope, and iTunes. If you're on iTunes, leave us a rating and review. It'll help us out tremendously. Also, visit us on the sportscast.net. Again, the sportscast.net. I'm your host, Alabama grad, over the hill powerlifter, Justin Riley. Today's episode is brought to you by Physical and Mental Fitness at 40 Plus by none other than Marvin Constant. Hey, if you're in that 40-year-old plus rut, this is the book for you. Just because you're over the hill doesn't mean that fitness is over. So we definitely need to check that out. All right. With that being said, he's an Alabama legend, all SEC linebacker, two-time author, and when Ric Flair said to be the man, you got to beat the man, he is that man, Marvin Constant.
Hey, what's going on? It's a pleasure. Thank you, and roll tide.
Roll tide, brother. Hey, we're finally here, man. We're finally at this show we've been talking about for weeks. It's happening.
It is happening. It's been a long time coming. For a lot of years, I always had a vision of bringing a show that brought, Alabama players together, because very rarely do you see them together discussing things. So, I always had that vision that, I want them all together in one place so that, we can just let it all out.
Man, and we're about to tell you what, we got quite a collection of guys today, don't we? And if you're a quarterback, man, you're going to be nervous. Maybe this show isn't for you today. All right. Marvin, can you introduce our guests?
Today, we have some phenomenal guests. It's the beginning of the season, and Alabama has always been known for its defense. I was one of those defenders at one point. So, it's only right that we start by examining the defensive side of the ball. So for that, we brought in two of Alabama's greatest defensive backs. One, Fernando Bryant, first-round draft pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and All-American Kevin Jackson.
Welcome in, guys.
Hey, man, thank you for having us, man. Thank you.
Man, we're excited to have you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Man.
So let's get started. Fernando, can you kind of, tell us like how you originally got into football? What helped you develop the love for the game, and a little bit about your high school career before we jump into your time at Alabama.
I was fortunate. My dad played in the NFL for 8 years, and his brother played for 11 years. So I had a background in football. Everybody in my family kind of played defensive back. My brother played defensive back at Tennessee. So I've come from a defensive back family, but overall, it was always Alabama for me. My uncle played with Langham with the Browns, and when I was being recruited out of Tennessee, he would always talk about Brother Bill and the defense and what all Alabama defensive backs brought to the league or brought to college football. And I was a two-way All-American in high school, and everybody kind of wanted me to play wide receiver, and I always wanted to be a defensive back. That's what I specialized in. So Alabama was the only school that was really set on me being a defensive back. A lot of schools, because of my speed, kind of wanted me to play wide receiver or a scat back, and I wanted to be a defensive back. So it was just kind of made in heaven for me.
Now, Fernando, you talked about that speed. I was there to personally witness you run two back-to-back 4.240s, a 4.27 and a 4.29. I must say, hands down, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I was a track guy. I was a 10-1 guy in the 100. I was all those things, but then like you said, that pro day, I will say, even I was impressed. I mean, that was one of the things that I had a great career at Alabama and everything, but everybody said, when I ran those back-to-back 4.2s, it kind of solidified that I was going to be a first-round draft pick, and And I was one of those fast guys where it was like, okay, is he really that fast? Until they kind of put me on the clock.
Well, I gotta admit though, it was cool how after you ran the 4.2s, you like, I ain't doing no other drills. I'm done. Y'all done seen what I got to offer, so that was kind of cool. I'm like, wow, you can do it like that. Just drop a 4.2 and say, I'm out. Okay.
I wasn't Dion, but I was
pretty close.
That class right there. Yeah, it was that class right there was a good class of DBs. When I look back and I say the first rounders that went in that class, there was me, there was Champ, there was McAllister, there was Winfield, and Antoine Edwards. So it was 5 DBs that went in the first round that year. So it was a good class, and it was fun. It was fun.
I mean, it was a solid class, but again, as a freshman, to watch you do that and walk off like I'm done, I was like, okay, that's how it's done. Okay, noted.
And speaking of your freshman year, man, you made a transition like easy. I mean, you were ready. It's like you're a veteran already. So how were you able to make that transition so smoothly?
I came from a very good program at Riverdale, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I think my senior year, we were undefeated, and we ended up 15-0, number 6 in the country. And, we had built up, and our scheme, Alabama, Brother Bill, he allowed me to do what was good for me. Obviously, our secondary, that my freshman year was unbelievable. With Deshae on the other side, it was KJ and Cedric Samuels, and then there was me. And it allowed me to do what I specialized in. I was a man-to-man cover corner, and Brother Bill told me, he allowed me to kind of feel my way around, during training camp and get everything. But the biggest thing, the transition for me was to be competitive. Out there every day, go out and compete. And that's the one thing I say that Alabama does that nobody else does. Everybody talks about, their program and everything, but Alabama's one of those schools, you hear people kind of back off and everything. Alabama's one of those schools who's still scrimmaging during the season because it's about getting better. And that's the one thing I took going into Alabama. Before it was cool to graduate early and get there during the summertime and everything like that. That's what Alabama was already doing. We was getting there early. So by the time I got there during the summer and in 94, 95, when I got there during the summer, and I was already learning the program, when training camp came around, I was ready to compete. And, back then, everybody wasn't doing that.
I feel like that we're probably the most NFL ready school out there. I know I got a crimson and white bias, but to be honest with you, you have Bill Oliver preparing you, and it's just like the coaches at Alabama, no matter what era it is, they have each one of their players ready to take that next step, that next level. And yeah, I agree with you, man. Y'all are more prepared than any other program. Again, this isn't me just being the bias here. But speaking of your coaching staff, of course, you worked under Bill Oliver, but what was your relationship like with Gene Stallings? I'd like to hear from each of his former players how they felt about him and what it was like being coached by him.
I'll tell you this story about Coach Stallings, man. Coach Stallings, I came on I was the number 1 recruit coming out of Tennessee that year. And obviously everybody knows the Tennessee Alabama rivalry goes more than just on the gridiron. It's off the field, it's recruiting, it's everything. So I took my trip to Alabama the week before I took my trip to Tennessee. I felt like I wanted to be a Crimson Tide. But out of respect for my high school coach who won the national championship at the University of Tennessee, I said I was going to take my visit to Tennessee. I made them my last visit. So I got off the plane. And when I walked into the hotel, they already had the paper written up. It was me and a guy named Antron Peoples who committed to Tennessee. They said dynamic duo commits to Tennessee. So I left the University of Tennessee on my recruit visit, drove to the University of Alabama, knocked on Gene Stallings' door at 2:00 in the morning, and shook his hand and said, I'm going to be a Crimson Tide.
Whoa.
So Coach Stallings was like, and his deep voice at that particular point in time and everything, and he was like, I see you're serious. And it was the most hilarious thing because I was at that point in time, Randy Ross was the recruiting coordinator. And as I'm driving in from Tennessee and everything like that, I'm telling Randy that I'm coming in. I'm like, hey, I don't care what nobody says. Whatever, I'm coming. And Coach Stallings is the most, when you look at my time, and I only had the opportunity to have 2 years with him, but he was the closest thing that you can say to the tradition at Alabama, the way Alabama is remembered, to Bear Bryant. There he is. Obviously Coach Saban is great. He's won. He's done everything. But when you think about the 3 clouds of dust, run the ball, play defense, and everything like that, Coach Stallings just epitomized that. And the man that he was, on and off the field, you respected him even more because you knew that he had your back. Just like Coach Saban, but you knew that Coach Stallings had your back. You knew that he was going to go to the ends of the earth for you, and you couldn't ask for anything else.
Man, I hear the same thing from every one of the former players that he's coached. Man, just seems to be the consensus, man. And one thing that really stood out to me is just how much he cared for each individual player. It was more of like a father role rather than a coach at times. Is that something that you felt the years you played under him?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, those conversations you would have with him when you, on those occasions that you did mess up, you knew that there was going to be consequences for you messing up, but you knew that it was going to be done out of love. You know what I mean? He would bring you in and he would tell you, okay, this is what's going to happen. These are your options. It wasn't like it was that. He was like, these are your options. You can either do this, you can do that, or this is what it is. And so he was more of a father figure to a lot of players than most people know, because he wanted to know. He wanted to know about your family life, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. He wanted to know, make sure that one of his biggest things was that you was going to graduate. When he went into that living room and told your mom that he was going to take care of you, he was going to make sure you graduated, that's what you was going to do. And I think back to some of the players that I played with, I'm talking about even years after, their playing days were over with. Alabama was one of those schools that always harped on them about graduating. Always. John Devers, man, was great. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where he's at now and everything, but I know he's high up in Alabama and everything. But John Devers was great about staying connected and making sure you had the courses you needed and making sure that you came back and did the stuff you need to do to get your diploma.
You make a lot of very, very valid points about that whole graduating thing, and a lot of players, they actually, take it upon themselves to hold each other accountable. So shout out to Gerald Dixon. When I say Gerald goes above and beyond, man, no matter who he's talking to, old smoke, he's going to talk to you and make sure that, hey, man, did you get that paper yet? That's going to be the first thing out of his mouth until you get it. Now, I got a few of them. Now he asked me, do you plan on stopping getting papers? I'm like, all right, I'm done for now. Yeah. So,
still staying with Gene Stallings, Kevin, you have a pretty interesting story when it came to your recruiting and Gene Stallings. You suffered a horrific injury in high school, and you pretty much had an opportunity to go anywhere. And then when that injury happened, everybody kind of backed off except one person, and that was Gene Stallings. Would you mind telling us that story?
Oh yes, it was a great. My senior year in high school, we were playing against Viger in the playoff game. I think the second round of the playoff game. I got a tremendous knee injury. Some say that I wasn't going to play it anymore. We had, out of that game, we probably had 13 scouts there for each school. And I got hurt. I had 14 different offers. The next week after I got hurt, I had one team that called and called Coach Dr. Andrews up. Had went and got an operation with Dr. Andrews. Woke up that next morning and looked over to my left-hand side. It was Coach Stallings sitting right there. And he was saying, hey, man, he said, I don't care if you play another down again. I want you at the University of Alabama. And my mom said, you going there. You're not going anywhere else. And it was a great feeling just to have that person, you know, everybody, Florida State, Notre Dame, Florida, Mississippi State, Ohio State, all those teams. I never heard anything from them. And the thing about him, man, he said, I'm gonna send you to junior college for a year to get yourself together to see if you can come back and play. I was running a 4.37 at that time in high school. Went to got hurt, sat out a semester. Went enrolled in Jones Junior College in January, in December, and January. At the time when we got back for spring training, I was running a 4.39 after that knee injury. I was the first team after that season. I was the first team All-American JUCO player. I was freshman All-American. I was quote unquote freshman incoming player of the year. And come to find out, now here come all the scouts again. And one of my coaches, my school I went to was a big Florida State school, and they sent a lot of guys. Orpheus Roy, Tim Johnson, they all went to Florida State. It was a bunch of guys that went to Florida State before me. And he said, Kevin, Mickey Andrews is gonna come down and watch you come down and talk to you. I said, no, he's not. He's not. He said, well, yes, he's coming down. He's gonna drive all the way down here and watch and talk to you. He want to talk to you. I said, Coach, don't let Mickey Andrews drive five hours away from Tallahassee to talk to me because I'm not talking to him. He said, why? I said, Coach, I got hurt in December. I remember I got hurt in December in the playoff game. And this is my first time hearing from Florida State. I said, so don't let him drive all the way down here to talk to me. And he drove down, and I guess they thought I was playing. I was over in the game room playing ping pong. And one of the coaches came over and said, hey, man, Coach Dykes wants to talk to you. I said, okay. So I ran over there. I said, what's up, Coach? He said, Mickey in now. I said, Coach, I'm gone. I ran out there, went to the game room and played. I said, I told you I wasn't coming over there. I don't have anything to say to those guys. You know, they left me at a time when I was needed, that I need to be done. I said, when one guy was there, that was Coach Stallings, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to Alabama. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want nobody to come. If anybody call you and ask you about me, just say he's already committed. He want to go to the University of Alabama. That's it. And Coach Stallings, it was a great thing. And my mom fell in love with him and told me, hey, you need to go there.
Kevin, I got a question for you real quick before I get into which one of y'all was busting coverages, you or Fernando. I know one of y'all was out there winging it. So before I get to that, because you know everybody think because they fast they can do stuff, but we're gonna come back to that. A lot of people don't understand what it takes mentally to overcome a knee injury. You know, I had one myself that was pretty bad. You know, people don't understand that mental fall that comes with that, because again, when you're used to being on top of the world and then all of a sudden, blink of an eye, you know, nobody's talking to you, the cameras aren't on, the lights aren't on anymore because you're hurt. You know, everybody think you can't do what you used to do. So for you to be able to come back and play, what did that take for you mentally to do that? And how did that affect you moving forward throughout your life? Because I know that mental development that you acquired after a knee injury, it'll take you a long way if you survive it.
Yeah, man, you gotta have a strong mental background on that, man. You gotta, like you said, when the camera's not looking, when nobody's not looking, and everybody done count you out, you gotta damn fight for it. You gotta fight for what you believe in and what you think you're gonna get to that next level. And what really got me is when I got hurt, that's my senior year in high school, what really set into me was all my friends signing D1 scholarships except for me. And I was like, man. And I got hurt, and man, I rehab. I cried every day in rehab. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I cried every day in rehab because the pain and the hurt and how hard I was going was so emotional, and it was hurting so bad that I wanted to get back and show everybody that, hey, KJ is back. He's back. He's faster. He's stronger, and he got a crazy attitude on him. And that's what I got to, man. I got to a point that it didn't matter where we was at. I was gonna go full speed. It didn't matter if Coach Stall and them said we was going shoulder pads or shorts. I'm hitting. It didn't matter what was going on because I felt like if I didn't go full speed, I was gonna get hurt again. And that was my mindset. You always go full speed, but like you said, man, a knee injury will make you grow up real fast and make you humble yourself real fast and make you when you really get there to that next level, make you really appreciate life and football.
You know, a lot of people don't understand, because like when you say it was a lot of days of crying, been there, done that, brother. That's one of the loneliest feelings in the world because you feel like the only person that got you is you at that point. It was a lot of dark days, man. People don't understand. Everybody think that because you the big, strong football player, you're supposed to be the tough guy. Don't cry. Go be tough. That stuff mentally affects you when you get hurt and you can't do the thing that you love anymore. So I'm glad that you were able to move past that and get back to doing what you love at a high level, man. That is a blessing.
It is a blessing, man. It was a rough road, man. I can tell you the times at rehab, man, that I was at the hospital that some of the patients and some of the nurse people up in the physical therapists up there saying, y'all need to take him in the back, put him in the back room because he's hollering and crying too loud. I mean, but I gotta say, man, my therapist, Marshall Smith, man, he pushed me to the limit and got me from, like I said, in high school, I was a low 4.3 guy. And when I got to Jones, I was 185. I ran a 4.39 after that injury. And it just shows how much sacrifice and how much I worked my butt off to try to get to that level.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of work to return. So.
Well, Kevin, let's talk about your true debut. Stallings, gave you your shot against Georgia, and I read an article that before the game, your teammate and current head coach of Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt, said you're going to have 2 to 3 picks in that game, and you just kind of shrugged it off. Lo and behold, man. Well, I'll let you tell us what happened. I know what happened because I hadn't forgot that game since I was a kid, man. So
yeah, that's a funny game, and people don't know too. When I got there, I started my first game was Vanderbilt game. Georgia wasn't the first game I started. Vanderbilt was the first game I started. If you remember in '95 when the guy from Vanderbilt, running back, me and Dwayne Rudd hit the guy and he went 65 yards for a touchdown. And damn, Coach Oliver blamed that on me. And I got benched. That game, Andre Short came in, got an interception that game. We played Arkansas. Andre Short I didn't play none. He got another interception. We played Southern Miss. I didn't play any. Andre Short got another interception. So he got 3 interceptions now. And I'm just this guy just transferred from junior college. I'm like, shoot, you might as well just go on transfer. This guy already got 3 interceptions in 3 games. So I was at the Sigmund Newhouse, the Southern Miss game. After the Southern Miss game, mad, upset. I told my mom, I said, I'm transferring. I'm going here. I'm going there, and I'm going to start looking for different schools. So we had a bye week for Georgia. So we go in Monday after our meeting or whatever, after we beat USM, and we're in our team meeting, and we go to our individual meeting, defensive back meeting, and Coach Oliver said, Kevin, we're gonna start you against the Georgia game. I'm like, what? This man just got 3 interceptions in 3 games, and y'all finna start me? And I'm like, man, okay. So that week of practice, man, I bust my butt, and I got in trouble a lot because, like I said, when they was talking about we was in shorts and we wasn't hitting, I was hitting. When I was going full speed every single play. So when the Georgia game got here, we was up in the locker room right before the game, and me and Pruitt always talk about whatever go over game plans and stuff like that because Pruitt he was a student of the game too at that time, and he helped me out a lot. And he said, Kevin, man, I got a good feeling about this game, man. I said, what you mean? He said, man, I think you're gonna get 2 or 3 interceptions this game. I said, man, whatever, man. He said, for real, man. He said, I think this is gonna be your breakout game. I said, Pruitt, man, hush, man. I said, I hope it is, but I said, hush. He said, man, for real. He said, Kevin, it's just something I feel. So when I got out there, you know, my first time with Coach Oliver, it was like, I mess up, he pulled me. I mess up, he pulled me. So the first game, the Georgia game, I messed up the first play. And we got out of there. And so he pulled me over to the side. I put on the microphone or whatever. He said, hey, stay in there. That was the only thing I needed for him to trust me to get me to go out there again. And the next series, I got an interception. And I finished the game with like 3 interceptions, a touchdown, and 14 tackles. And the craziest thing about it is, the funny thing about it is, at practice, Coach Stallings never knew my name. He always called me Seven. Hey, Seven, why you ain't out there making plays on Saturday? Hey, Seven, you always on Tiger. Where you at? I said, Coach, you got to ask your defense coordinator why I ain't playing. He said, man, I see you every day making plays at practice. So he was calling me Seven, didn't know my name. After the Georgia game, time he hit 0. He said, KJ, come here. And he just started calling my name and started calling me KJ. And it was on ever since. And, man, it was a great feeling. And I went to German. Like I said, German was a great teacher, and he helped me out a lot because me coming from junior college, I never played secondary. I was always an outside linebacker, so I never had to make the checks. And when I got there, you can ask Fernando, shoot, those checks, any guy moves, back moves is one check, second receiver moves, it was another check. The outside receiver move is another check. So Coach Oliver was real multiple, but he had different schemes on everything. And if you didn't know that defense, you wasn't gonna play. But Jeremy helped me out a lot on getting to know the defense and understanding the schemes and understanding how to study what Coach Oliver needed at that time.
You know, Jeremy is actually a great dude, man. You know, I've always had nothing but great interactions with him. And you make a very valid point. You know, when you have to make those checks and those audibles, you know, me playing middle linebacker, Ellis Johnson was always looking at me like, hey, man, you better know every set, every personnel group. And when they go in motion, what plays coming, you got to tell everybody what to do. So, you know, having Jeremy there to help you with that, man, that was huge because, again, that stuff is happening. When it's happening in real time, it's like you don't have time to think. It's just like, go.
Oh, yeah. And, man, if you didn't know it, shoot, you weren't going to play, man. And that's the thing about people saying that, man, why this guy not playing? Why this guy not playing? I said, man, you know, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of books that they're throwing at him. There's a lot of coverage they're throwing at him. I said, sometimes guys just can't pick up things right now. You know, it's going to take a while, you know, and it took me a while, you know, and I got it and, you know, started teaching other people. But like you said, that thing, it happens so fast and you got to be on the move and you got to know your stuff. You can't be guessing because all 8 guys are looking at you trying to see what coverage you in.
Yeah. So how many times you got to bail Fernando out when Pillis Price ran past him? No, I'm just playing. It's just jokes. It's just jokes.
hey.
I want to answer to that.
Well, the craziest thing about that, let me tell y'all about that story, though. It's crazy because we up in Tennessee, we got a good game plan. We had a good practice and whatever. So we get to Tennessee, and all of a sudden they say it's a mandatory meeting. We got a meeting. So we go into this meeting, and we changed from a 4-3 to a 3-4 that night.
Ouch.
And we changed the defense. You can ask Fernando. We changed the defense, and we think we got it a little bit. We worked on it one night, and it ain't even full speed. You know, we walked through it. And so we get out there, man. We don't know nothing. You know what I mean? And Tennessee made us look like we didn't know nothing because they ran regular around us. But like I said, I think if we would have stuck with the same game plan, I think it would have been a better football game than what it was.
Yeah.
Both of you guys, can you kind of talk about how y'all all came together as one? I mean, I've seen you, Kevin, and Deshae, and you, Fernando. I don't see how anybody completed a pass against y'all, to be honest with you. But when did that unit become one and really start to take over?
Man, summertime, man. We harped on playing 7-on-7 on summertime and going 1-on-1 in summertime. Man, we had everybody stay up there. Or if anybody go home, we make them come back in 2 weeks to come up there and go play 7-on-7 all day long and have the coaches up in the box, up in their office watching us. And we get at it, man. And it was like Fernando said, man, it was just something different about going to that school, man, and competing and we competed every single summer. And if it ain't just football, we competed basketball, we competed in track. When we had to run hundreds, we competed. Me, Dwayne Rudd, all us competed. Deshae, Fernando, we competed. Who's gonna be first every time? And man, it was always competitive between us four with Sad Samuels and with the linebacker. You know, you had Ralph Staten. Ralph was a 4-4 guy. Dwayne was a 4-4. Dwayne was a 4-4 guy. And then you had some good middle linebackers was probably 4-8 guys. And then us four back then, the back, all us was about 4-4 and 4-3 guys. So man, we test those receivers every single day and got those guys better, and they got us better too at the same time. And we had some good receivers at that time. We had some fast receivers: Marcel West, Curtis Brown, Todrick Malone. You know, them guys right there was really good receivers that helped us out a lot. You know, you go against those guys every day. Ain't too many guys got receivers like that on their team. But like I said, we competed and had a great time competing. Never got mad at each other about competing with each other. We always was a team first, and we always did the things that were the right way. And like I said, we get together in the summertime and just go at it, and that made us better, and that made us click, and that made us be good in the secondary back there.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we would go at it, and as far as Mr. Constant, you know, I'm talking about in my entire career now. In my entire career, I will say I've been beaten before, but I've only been ran by twice in my entire career. Now, one was Randy Moss, and one was Jaquez Green. Those are the only two times I've ever been run by.
Now I was just joking with you, but now I could understand Randy Moss running past you. That long stride. That's a rough one to keep up with.
Jaquez, when you was talking about the secondary, when y'all was talking about the secondary and nobody being that, we were the number one secondary in the country. There was nobody. I mean, we were the number one secondary in the country, and then we ran up against them Florida Gators in the SEC championship game. We had given up 2 touchdowns the entire season in the air. The entire season. Man, they scored 5 in the first half.
Who was that? Jaquez Green, Riedel Anthony, all them boys?
Yes. That's the year they won. That's the year they won their national championship. But 96, like when I tell you, we had given up 2 touchdowns the entire season in the secondary. We were it wasn't even close. We was no one second. Man, we got out there and on that turf. It was something different.
Hey, listen. Hey, have y'all ever played at Florida Field before? Did y'all ever get to play there?
I never played there.
Okay, so on Florida Field, it's literally just dirt, almost spray painted green. You could tell they roll it and they compact it. Man, they turn that thing into a straight track. That's what they do to accent their speed. So yeah, you put them on turf. Oh, you better buckle up because you know you finna be in for it all day.
Oh man, we thought we was going to. I mean, you know, after my freshman year, obviously we couldn't go to a bowl game. We was upset. We couldn't go to a bowl game because of stuff that happened before us. We finished 10. We was like, I think we were 10-2 or 10-1, and we couldn't go to a bowl game or we couldn't do anything. And then so the next year we come out there and we killing folks. You know what I'm talking about? We doing it. And so we thinking we about to play for the national championship. We finna win the SEC championship, play for the national championship. It was, I think we were number 3 against number 5 or number 5 against number 3, whatever one it was. And man, Florida was special that year. So, I mean,
I put it as a bad game for it.
Hey, look, I'm going to tell y'all a quick funny story about playing Florida. So when we played them in Florida in 99, that's when they had Bo Carroll and John Capel at running back. If y'all remember, both of them went to the Olympics in 2000.
Yeah.
Olympic sprinter. So, you know, Ellis, he wanted to run some man-to-man. And me being middle linebacker, I had them one-on-one coverage. For the game, Tony and Reggie come over there talking to me, talking about, man, don't worry about that. We got you if they get past you. I said, man, they ain't going to get past me. Don't even worry about it. Man, it was probably in the second quarter, we got the blitz call. All I hear is Tony back there hollering, because I didn't tackle old Bo Carrot. I'm just laying on. I'm just like, we ain't going nowhere, homeboy. You not finna run past me. Literally, every time they came out, I just tackled them. Like, man, because I was not finna get embarrassed on national TV trying to keep up with them track stars.
Oh yeah, they was fast, man. I mean, Jack Wins, Ike, and all those guys. They were, like Fernando said, they were special. Now they had a special team that year, and then you
had Fred Taylor at running back. You had Jack Wins. You had Riddell Anthony, and you had the other one. So they were loaded. I forget, and they had a good tight end.
Yeah.
Was that what's the old boy name? Aaron Kenny? Was that him? Or was it? Because I know Yeah.
I was like, it was crazy. I mean, they offensively they were, they were loaded. So
they were loaded on defense. You didn't even hear about Javon Curse and Mike Peterson. They were young. They were all on that team. Yeah,
they were all on that team. Yeah.
They had Lawrence Wright too as safety.
Yeah, Lawrence Wright as safety. That's what it was, because they was talking about the two safeties. Yeah.
Yeah, because Marvin, I never seen. It's really when you go into the championship game, a guy Lawrence Wright win the buckets. Thorpe Award.
Yep.
As a damn alternate.
How does an alternate win the Thorpe Award?
Chris Candy got in trouble on a driving charge, and they got rid of him and brought Lawrence Wright in as an alternate, and he won the damn Thorpe Award that year.
Yeah, they had a nice squad that year.
Yeah, they did have a nice squad. They really did. They had a top 10 squad. They was there.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, man, what was the funniest thing that happened between y'all on the field in the game at Alabama? Because everybody knows something funny that happened between them and the guys they played with, and most of the time nobody ever talks about it outside of that group.
Man, go ahead, KJ.
Mine was Fernando too. I get in one Fernando SEC championship game. When Ike ran past him and scored that touchdown against him. Fernando goes in there and just start going off on everything. I want to play man. Put me on man. Put me on man. I don't care what y'all do. Put me on man. I said, Fernando, we was in man now. We was in man now when he ran past. And Fernando said, yeah, you're right, Coach. You're right, Kevin. Man, having those guys in that meeting, man, there's a whole lot of things. I had more time having fun, and after the game, and we all watching the film, and everybody telling on everybody, Coach, you missed that play. Look at number 7. And they wind it back, and Coach go off on them. And it just be funny how people just want to get everybody in trouble in film that day.
Well, KJ, I will say this now, KJ. Your thing was, like you said, you will be out there after you went ahead, after you had that game from Georgia. You really couldn't do no wrong. So you would be out there and you would be gone. Like, everybody knew I was going to be in man-to-man. But I knew if you came down in the box within 4 or 5 yards, I might as well back up because I wasn't getting no safety help. You can say what you want to, you can do what you want to. But once KJ came down within 4 to 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, you might as well back up because there is no such thing as safety help.
Oh, I can't get back there that fast. I can't get back there fast.
That's what he would say. He was like, once I come down, now I can't get back up there.
I can't get up there.
But you know how it is.
Hey, at that time, I was a 4-4 guy.
When he said he was 185, I was like, when was KJ 185? I ain't never known KJ at 185.
Listen, when I was junior college, I was at 185. When I got to Alabama, our junior college though, you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it. That's all you get. You ain't get no extra. You ain't get nothing. So I got to Bama, and in the spring. From January till the spring football kicked off, I was 185, and when spring ball kicked off, I was 215.
Okay, then that's the one I know. That's the KJ I know.
So after all that said and done, I played at 207.
So that's the KJ I know, because I was like, hold on, KJ, I ain't never known you at 185 now.
No, that was some junior college days, man. I wasn't eating enough. I ain't get that luxury. ain't get that luxury to have a snack at 10:30 at night every night.
Hey, listen, man. I just want to tell y'all something too. We got another guest about to join us. He just texted me, and he's about to come on, fellas. I think y'all gonna enjoy this fella as well. He's a fellow DB. So
Must be Langham. Must be Langham.
No, it ain't
No,
Langham.
it ain't Langham.
It ain't Langham.
But-
Justin, has he zoomed in yet?
Let me take a look here. Not quite yet, but this is a guy that made his name known not only in college, but in the pros as well. Matter of fact, like Fernando, he's got a ring.
Yes, Super Bowl champion.
And it's been hard keeping this secret for, what, 2 weeks now? Mom's
Yeah,
like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Like, don't tell anybody. Hey, yeah. So he should be zooming in, hitting that Zoom in a second. So he just texted me. So say he's ready.
Well, before he gets on, can each of you tell me, like, what was the best game that y'all played at Alabama, or what was y'all's key moment?
My key moment, like you said, it was a Georgia game. It was my, I think, coming out game, and a lot of people don't know. That year, I was all SEC, All American guy, but I didn't play in 4 games, and I led the SEC in interceptions and with 7, but I didn't play in. I didn't start. I started the first series in the Vanderbilt game, and didn't play no more until the Georgia game, and we played Georgia the 4th game of the season. And just to have 3 interceptions, a touchdown, and 14 tackles, that was a big key for not just for my team, but that was a big key for me too. And me being good with the defense and knowing what to do. I was in the right place at the right time, being confident, more confident, and just my teammates having my back. And that was one of the primary games, and that I remember that sticks out to everybody when somebody said something to me. It'll always be the Georgia game or something like that. I did get somebody ask me about the Georgia game with Quincy Jackson.
Yeah. I think for me, it was probably LSU when we came back. I think Sean returned the kick or whatever, but I think it was LSU for me. I think it was when they had the Booty Boys, and so that was one of my better games, and it was a night game, and it was one of those transitional games for me. Most people, like, I was a kick returner, and so I had some good kick returns to get us kind of back in field position, give us short fields, and we were down at halftime, and it looked like, Death Valley at night. The atmosphere there is crazy. So when I look back over my career, that game and how crazy it was, that one and the Auburn game when we came back and we won. I think it was either my sophomore or my junior year, and I was going up against Bailey, and I think we ended up winning by a couple of points or whatever. And I had an interception on Damian Craig to kind of set everything up. 96. Had an interception on Damian Craig that kind of set everything up and kind of set everything back in motion. Dennis Ruddle ended up getting a little flare pass to win the game at the end. And so that was probably 2 of my best games there.
So, hey, man. Justin, I think it's that time too. Is it that time yet?
Man, it is definitely that time. You know what? Right. I can't go 2 more minutes, let alone 2 more weeks without announcing our guest.
Well, let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the 3rd member to this party, former Super Bowl champion, Roman Harper, the man himself.
Man, Hart, what's up, man?
What's up, Roman?
Hey, Roman, you there?
Yeah, man. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, man. Yeah. You on with Fernando Bryant and Kevin Jackson and Justin, brother.
Hey.
Oh, man. Kevin Jackson, the notorious Fernando Bryant, a.k.a. 2-5, huh? That is,
yes, sir.
I mean,
that 2-5.
You heard about 2-5, but when you got on campus, this legend, this this nuance, this just aura of this person. So it's great to be on with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, man, thank you
Man,
for
it's
coming,
good to
man.
see you,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah. So I got a couple questions for you. First and foremost, how's the new gig treating you?
Well, you know what, man, Mook, man, I feel like I'm a freshman or a rookie all over again, man. Every day is something that I can improve on. I'm just trying to continue to learn all these SEC players, the coaches, the nuances of college football all over again, because I've been trained by the NFL for so long. And now trying to jump back into SEC is fun because I love the SEC, but at the same time, I don't know a lot. And especially about being on TV, how to have great quick hitters, being able to talk eloquently and be able to describe certain things, and even like the mundane things or the stuff that I think is boring, being able to dress that up. And then some of the football stuff that maybe I love to talk about, but the average fan would not even understand, being able to kind of dumb that down and don't really go into detail about that.
Man, I remember you when you were at Alabama. I was there about the same time you were, and it was during a transition phase. Different.
Is that what you call it? That's what you call it, the transition phase?
Well, I thought
You can just be real.
I thought as far as coaches go. I mean, I experienced like 4 coaches in 5 years. I mean, DeBose, and then we got Francione, who left in the middle of the night. 20 minutes of Mike Price, and then Coach Shula. So yeah, it was kind of interesting. So. But I remember your class when y'all came in, man. I spoke with Rudy Griffin before. Y'all had this undeniable hunger and drive, like y'all were going to be that squad that turned everything around. Can you kind of talk about that and that mentality you guys had?
Well, it was funny. So, Dubose never coached me, but he was that staff did offer me a scholarship, and then they got fired like randomly. But it was funny. I think the funniest part was how we all came in, and we were one of the lowest rated classes that Alabama had in a long time. Marvin Constant, those couple classes before us were really, really highly rated. And they had a whole bunch of parade All-American guys. You look at my class, I think we didn't have anybody besides Brody Kroll. He was the only one that a lot of people kind of knew of. And everybody else was much, much, much less talked about and things like that. So by the time we were able to kind of get on the field, we played a lot of us early. They tried to redshirt as many as they could because we understood that we were going to be on probation because of what past things people had done. We're not even going to go into that, nor do we have to talk about it. But we all know about it. That's why Mook's smiling so hard right now. So to be able to see all this and like have to go through that, to have the older guys really treat us like dirt, it really humbled us all, but it made us all come together as our one class, that we had to lean on each other all the time. And then when all those guys left, and it was just us playing all the time, it was the same thing, that we had to really lean on each other. And eventually we started winning ball games. And we found so many ways to lose the game our first couple of years out there playing. But by our senior year, we started to really figure it out, like what worked for us. And it really turned out to be one of the better defenses that came through Alabama.
I guess who really, stood out to you the most as far as a leader on that team, or was it all just a collective unit as far as returning that defense back to glory? Because y'all did do that, man. We were ranked number 1 in the nation on almost every category in 2005.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how we played. For me, the leaders on that defense would easily be somebody like D'Amico Ryans. We always had somebody up front. Rudy Griffin's a guy who didn't put up great numbers, but was a steady player up front for us that did a lot of talking, always producing. You knew exactly where they were going to be at. And in the back half, I guess you could point to me, but I really wasn't that type of guy. I'm kind of a selfish guy, so you don't want selfish guys being your leaders. So I was more of a me guy at the time, and it was just all about me, and I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. So, but leadership-wise, it definitely had to be D'Amico Ryans.
Sound like you was playing with Kenny Smith. That's what when I played with Kenny. No, Kenny did what he wanted to do. Like we would have a blitz call. Kenny's supposed to hit the A gap. Kenny's all the way out here on the tight end doing what I'm like, Kenny, you left me exposed, man. I done got hit by a guard and a tackle because you don't want to do what you're supposed to do. I get it.
It's funny, Roman, you said that leadership wasn't your thing, but in your NFL scouting report, that was one of the top things that they mentioned about you.
Hey, man, look, you can fool anyone twice, you know what I mean? And the clock's right, twice a day, no matter what. So it's just really funny because I didn't walk at it and like not do my assignment. It was more that I just didn't care about trying to make sure everybody else was like rah system, but I'm not that type of guy. I'm more on the level of I'm going to play hard. So if you can't play hard and go off of me and my vibe, then I don't really want you out there. So if you can't get down like how I'm going to get down, whether I'm just now coming in or maybe I stayed out too late the night before, none of that matters because once I cross these white lines, I'm going to play a certain way with a certain type of attitude. And if you can't get with me, then I don't really want you out there. So I'm going to play so hard that it's going to make you uncomfortable unless you raise your game up to mine.
Yeah, Pounders did mess up a lot of our practices, them $2 Tuesdays, but we ain't gonna get into that. But speaking of leadership, I would love to get all three of y'all's take on Alabama's performance last year. Because again, I don't feel like we played up to the Alabama standard last year. I feel like it was a lot of guys who were playing me ball and they weren't into the whole team concept. So, I would love to get you all's thoughts on that and the current secondary moving forward.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think, from the outside looking in, from the outside looking in, and you look at what Alabama football has been through different decades and everything. And the one thing that's always been consistent, even though, went through this age where we scored a lot of points and did a lot of things like that offensively, we had a lot of superstar individually with running backs or wide receivers. Defensively, there was a certain kind of steadiness about Alabama football. And you kind of saw that wane a little bit last year. You don't know if that was because of injuries, because of the people that you thought was going to be there. But the one thing Alabama always was able to do, and which I think will help them more this year, is because a lot of the young players they've had were able to come in and play and contribute. And some of those young players didn't play like the five-star players that they came in as. One thing Alabama's always been able to do is get five-star players to play like five-star players, but not only five-star players. If you were a three-star, you was gonna play like a four-star or a five-star. You didn't see that last year. And at some point, it used to be Alabama could will their way to get into that point. And last year, it's like we was waiting on someone to lead them defensively. We were waiting on somebody to step up and say, okay, this is Alabama and this is the way we do it. And it didn't seem like that happened. So that was a disappointing thing for me, and it seems like, it was a little turmoil with the coaching staff. I don't know. I wasn't there. This is just from my outside looking in perspective. But the turnover, I thought finally caught up with Alabama. I thought the turnover with the continuity between player and coach wasn't necessarily there, or it didn't look like it there. It looked like nobody was really sure about who was supposed to be doing this. And when it did screw up, how do we fix it? So that was my take on
it. Mr. Jackson?
My take over about the same as Fernando. It was a lot of miscommunication, not enough talking out there. The defense wasn't up to par like the offense. I think it was a lot of young guys that was thrown in a situation that they wasn't used to. And a lot of older guys wasn't stepping up and teaching the young guys how to be a player and how to do it the right way. I saw a lot of uncertainness, a lot of missed tackles, a lot of guys not hustling to the ball. Just one of those guys when you first come in, when a whole coaching staff first come in and get a team. That's what it looked like last year. Like a lot of guys from the coaching staff to the players, that a lot of trust wasn't there, and a lot of people that didn't know what they was doing. And like you said, he had a lot of hurt people, a lot of hurt guys that was couldn't contribute last year, and that hurts the program too. But at the same time, we supposed to have these five-star guys, and I just didn't think that they prepared themselves well enough to be able to play like they supposed to play last year. I know when you score 40-some points on Auburn, you're supposed to win that game, no matter what kind of circumstances that is. It's like a track meet. between both teams. And I never seen Alabama defense play like that before. Just let people run up and down the field on you. That pisses me off because I'm a defensive minded guy, and I like head hunting. I like trying to stop guys playing offense guys, but at the same time, but when you see that, something ain't right with the program and something need to be fixed. And I think Nick gonna fix that this year. And like Fernando said too, a lot of people in and out. I think we need to keep some of those coaches. And I know everybody want to be a head coach and everybody want to go do their own thing, and that's understandable. And but at the same time too, we gotta be able to keep those guys there for a couple of years and make sure we can win some more championships and making sure that everybody's doing what their job is and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do on defense. Right now, the offense is the prime example. Whenever you went to an Alabama game in the last 30 years looking for offense, you haven't, because it's always been run, pass, run, pass. And you got the defense. You always worry about the defense. We had all our guys making plays on defense. So that's what I think, that we need to get that mojo back and need to get that feeling back and get that defensive minded back and go on to playing like Alabama used to play.
Yeah, there has been a lot of coaching turnover the past few years. And when you look at the amount of points given up by the Alabama this past season, I don't think we've given up that many points in the last 10 years total. So, Roman, what's your take on that?
No, I think these guys hit it right on the head. I would really just try and piggyback and kind of dive in a little bit more. And that is, not only did a lot of young guys get forced to play early, but when they didn't make the plays that we assumed for them to make. The defense lacked physicality. Not at one point in time did you ever look at the defense last year and say, man, that is a scary defense, or any individual and say, that is a scary dude that we have to prepare for one individual. That never happened. And I think that is what they have to get back to. I also would love to see Alabama kind of diversify in their scheme a little bit to where they're not always playing just man-to-man coverage, that they're doing a lot of combo coverages, but every time the quarterback dropped back, he knew his matchup that he wanted to go to. And if you're not confusing the quarterback by pass or coverage, by rush or coverage, then you're always going to not be that successful. I think they need to be better up front in getting after the passer. I think them coming back from some injuries up front will help that. But overall, they have to play more physical. They have to be able to hit people and strike fear into people defensively, and they did not do that last year. Another thing that I thought they missed was about when guys messed up, somebody need to go sit down on the bench and change your attitude and play harder. That was one thing Kevin Jackson talked about, was that guys were not playing hard at times. And it stood out to me when all of a sudden now you see somebody have a change of speed when somebody misses a tackle. What you do when you to heal that or solve that problem, you just go over there and you sit down on the bench until you think about it, get somebody else in there. And because of the injuries, because of some of these other things we talked about, we did not see extended amounts of people in the rotation play last year. And I think that fed into the lack of effort that we saw on the football field.
I think we picking up a lot of your audio, Mr. Bryant. So, looking at the team as a whole, as we, start to prepare for this upcoming season, even with the COVID, there's going to be a lot of challenges that, people just don't expect. So who's that one guy that you all are looking forward to seeing how he's going to impact Alabama as they move into the season? Because, most people are saying Surtain, it's time for him to step up and be that guy. So who's that guy for you all?
Basically, to me, Marvin, I really don't have no guy. That whole defense got to show me.
Yeah.
That whole defense got to show me so I could pick a guy. Right now, I don't think it is a guy on that team right now this year that could just say, I could just pick, from. Yeah, you can say Patrick Surtain, but the thing is, how much can a corner do? You know what I mean? He can lock down one guy, but what about those guys in the middle? What can those guys? I have no idea what those guys could do in the middle. So when those games come, and when I see them first two games, then I might say, okay, I got a guy now. But right now, I can't pick not one guy that I can look at and look on that roster and say, this guy gonna be a beast. Yeah, everybody looked good on paper, 5 stars or whatever. We had 5 stars last year, but they didn't show up. But like I said, you got to pick. I'm picking my guy at the second game of the year or the third game of the year. But right now, I don't have a guy.
For me, I guess I would say Moss, man. I would say that him coming back, if he's going to be that dominant force that he was, what we expected last year, the stabilizing force of our defense to where since I was a corner, I will say a corner can do quite a bit. But what I will say is this: if you can have a dominant force in the middle and a corner outside, you can do a lot of things. Roman Harper, that's the one thing I did like about what you said. They have to diversify. The one thing I used to say I hated when I watched Alabama football is I knew on third and short or on the goal line, a rub route was always going to beat them because they were going to play that combo coverage and they wasn't getting out of it. Now, the one thing you love about Alabama is that their consistency on what they do and they believe in what they do. But sometimes you do have to try to switch up some things to make an offense think about it because they can put you, if they know what they can put you in offensively to get the look they want, that's what they're going to do. So when Harp said that, that's the one thing that came to mind for me. I was like, man, down there on the goal line and on third and shorts, everybody knows if you run rub routes, you can get Alabama in a predicament that 9 times out of 10 you can win. Unless Alabama guys are just better than your guys.
Honestly, I thought we would have abandoned that playing Clemson with Deshaun Watson. Oh, they abused us with that stupid rub route.
Man.
Like, why are we still playing man to man? Switch off or play zone. It's simple.
Hey, I get beat up about this all the time. They're like, Alabama just won't. I say, man, the one thing I say, man. Now, hey, they believe in what they do and they stick with it. But I would like to see a little switch up from that standpoint. But if those two players, though, defensively, if Moss and Sartain play up to what they can, they have an opportunity to be scary. Because in the secondary, what Nick does, kind of like the Patriots and everything like that, if you can lock that one guy up, you can do a lot of things in the secondary, to help the other side so they come along and everything. And if you have that dominant guy in the middle, your outside rushers can do a lot of things that can wreak havoc on the offense. And so if those two players right there come in and play up to their standards, they have an opportunity to be special.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Dylan Moses in the middle has to be that guy defensively. But I'm going to go a completely different lane. I'm going to go my guy who's really going to impact the season. It's got to be Steve Sarkisian calling the plays offensively. and Najee Harris. Can Najee Harris do what Derrick Henry did? Can he actually carry Alabama, toting the load, and carry them to a championship game? Because we're used to having just this average quarterback at Alabama. We've never had a Tua Tagovailoa. That was the first time. So I don't want us to all of a sudden think like, oh, this is what we got to have. This is what we want all the time. We need to let that girlfriend go. Just understand you had a nice one. Now you need to come back to reality, which gets back to running the ball, being physical with the dominant offensive line. You look at every book tells you Alabama has the best offensive line in the country, consistently from side to side, left to right. It's a complete dominant offensive line. Use these big boys, run the ball. Mac Jones to be able to smart, delicate decision with the football. Uses Devontae Smith, Waddle, Jalen Waddle, all these other people around, and let this boy Najee Harris tote this rock and take us to the promised land. If we do that, that can give yourself enough chances to now defensively. All you need is 1 or 2 turnovers, and then the game slows down offensively enough to where now it puts pressure on the opposing team to try and play catch up. So I think you have to play more complementary football. We need to do better offensively by calling a better game, which is really running the ball more and then taking the pressure off of Mac Jones. And then defensively, having Dylan Moses is going to be great. But right, action. I need him to make A's. For him to be all-world, all-everything. The last all-world player that we had at the top of college recruiting and all that other stuff that came in Alabama like that was Landon Collins. And he made a big impact when he was there. Patrick Surtain, I think he's been good, but he needs to be great.
Right. And you know, it's funny that you talk about Najee and running the ball. That's going to be important this season because you look at it playing 10 SEC games this year. That's not normal. That's a lot of abuse. That's a lot of wear and tear. It's going to be who can hold up, survival of the fittest. So, you know, you're going to have to be able to run the ball because you don't want to be out there with the track meet every week because your team's going to be shot at the end of the season.
Yes, it is.
One person I've got my eye on, it's a coach, it's not a player. And Harp, when I ask this, I want you to answer first because you actually played with him. And he was very physical in college, and I believe he carries that through in his coaching style. He's very demanding, he's very passionate, and he has a fire inside him. And that's Freddie Roach. He's now one of the defensive coaches. How does adding him to that staff immediately change everything?
Well, hopefully it's an upgrade. Freddie did not play D-line. He was terrible on his get-off. But he was a great linebacker, like you said. He was physical. He played hard. He played fast. And now I like him to coach D-line because now coaching D-line is not that hard, all right? The closer you play to the ball, the dumber you can be. The further away from the ball you are, the smarter you got to be. That's why all these DBs are so smart. Ask these guys, all right? We're so smart. So all you have to do is coach hands, all right? The physicality, getting off the ball, not staying blocked. And you recruit the best of the best. So it's not like you're not working with talent here. You're not playing with some duds. You got studs all over the place. Before having DJ Dale back, these guys should come out and start to wreck shop up front. Now, all of a sudden, now we look up and we didn't even know we had such a dominant force up front. That is the growth and improvement that we're talking about that we need from Alabama's defense here. If they have goals and aspirations to beat somebody, to beat Clemson, or to be able to beat Georgia, to be able to beat Texas A&M, it's going to be a really tough game in week 2. So I'm really looking forward to all these matchups and who's going to really show up. And we'll know a lot by week 2 or 3 if this Alabama team is for real and all these other teams in the SEC, who's for real and who's pretenders.
So, Kevin, what do you think about having Freddie Roach coming to that coaching staff, what he brings to the table? Do you feel like that he brings the fire that's been missing?
I do. When you ever get a guy that's played there and heart is there and come back to the University of Alabama to coach there, it's something about that coach that gives those guys, because he's been there. He's been through that. He's been through that era. He's been through that team. He knows what the ins and outs on the football field is. He's been to that coaching staff and all. He's on that team before, so he brings a lot to those guys, and those guys really probably look up to him more than they looked up to the rest of the coaches because of what he has done and what he has been through and what team he was on. So I feel like Fred is a good addition to that coaching staff because of his work ethic, and he do a great job. I watched him a couple of times in practice when I watched him back in the day, that he do a really good job on technique and hand placement, like Roman said, and he do a great job of getting into those guys and making those guys play hard.
Kevin, man, keep it real. He can talk to the players about Tutwiler. He can talk to the players about where they go on campus and hanging out because he's been there. I mean, let's keep it real here.
Exactly.
That's why the players are coming ready. That's why, because he can talk to them about play. He's been a player.
Hey, Roman, that's why they'll play hard for him, because he already gonna tell them where to hang out at and where time to be out.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that's the point, though. I think, and more so from a player standpoint, what we talked about is trust. You know, I think for a long time now, Nick has hired a lot of people that he's helped, and he hadn't gotten back the same type of loyalty that he's displayed to some of the coaches that he's brought in. And I think that hire right there is going to do a lot in the building as far as trust. And when a coaching staff has that trust, that's what you need. And the players will see that, though. The players will see his energy. And the way he brings to the field is the fact that it's more than just a coaching job to him. You know, I mean, he was at another SEC school. Yes, that's fine. He was already making the money. He's already done it. Okay, but this is more than a coaching job to him. You know, this is home. You know, like Beverly said, Mama was calling. You know, it was time to get back to what Alabama does. And I think him being there helps that. You know, when you said the thing about Steve, so okay, that's the same thing about Sharp. If he don't call a good game, we're going to have problems offensively. If he doesn't understand what Alabama football is. You know, there was a reason why now he left and went to the Falcons and we got him back. Now, you know, don't get me wrong. When I tell you, when I say the whole thing about trust, when Alabama got Sharp, didn't nobody want to touch him. Didn't nobody want to touch him after that USC thing. Now, let's just be real. Nick brought him in, got him back to where he should be, and then he left and went to the Falcons or whatever, you know what I mean? So now I think he's back, and that whole thing about trust and loyalty, you know, it means something in Alabama. It has for a while, and I think we kind of got away from that. Well, and yeah.
Oh no, you go ahead. You can finish.
No, I'm just saying. So I think that you know, like I said, everybody wants to be a head coach, and everybody wants to do this, and everybody wants to do that. But one thing I heard Nick say is this: I'm okay with you leaving me, but don't be a head coach. But don't take my other coaches away from me that I'm building my program with after I've gotten you here and given you the opportunities that you have. So that was one of the things I think is going to help, though. I think that those two people being back and being in the system and actually understanding what Alabama football is, you know what I mean? Like, and when you say if Sharp does that, they have a very good opportunity to be good, because this season is going to be new for everybody with everything that's going on with COVID and everything and how you're going to have to manage everything. If you can make it through those first 4 or 5 games and not completely be beat up and broke down and everything, you're going to have a shot to be special just because, you know, the way it's set up this year. You know what I mean? It's 3 conferences, really. And you can call it what you want to. Hey, we get another championship this year. I'm not going to put an asterisk by it because of COVID.
Right. Right. Well, gentlemen, we're almost out of time, and it's too bad because I was going to get Fernando to tell us the story about that time Dubose sent them back in, and Eric Curley and Chris Hood barricaded the doors and wouldn't let the players go practice. But that's a story for another day.
I can't wait to hear that.
I need to hear that one too.
Oh, man.
Hey, that's why Fernando just laughed, right?
Hey, I heard Coach White told me a little bit about that.
Man.
All right, guys. I could definitely talk about this stuff all night, but before we close out, can each of y'all give us, some closing words, and then also, if you're on social media, can you give us a way to contact you?
Well, I'll get up out of here first, man. But just closing words is, man, it was great to be on the show, Marvin. You know how I feel about you, man. Still waiting, like I said, still waiting on my book. I'm trying to get in shape.
Yeah.
Everybody get Marvin's book now, because he looking good. He looking good. He's doing what he needs to do. I'm trying to make sure. I'm trying to make sure I can get back in shape and everything like that. But man, the show, I wish y'all the best. I know everything is going to be great, man. If you ever need anything, Marvin, you know how to get in contact with me.
I got you, brother.
I love to come on. All the other guys, man, it's always like what Marvin said at the beginning of the show is great. You know what I mean? For Bama guys to get together, everybody know A-Day is unbelievable and everything. That's the one thing that makes Alabama special. It doesn't matter what decade or generation you came in. Once you play for the Alabama, once you that Bama Sci-Fi, you Bama Sci-Fi for life. And I love y'all. Look forward to seeing what y'all doing in your futures, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, before you go, real quick, Fernando, got to tell y'all something. You and Kevin something. Actually, my very first Alabama game that I ever went to, and it's hard being an Alabama fan growing up in Mississippi. You don't get a lot of opportunities to go to Alabama games because they don't quite understand football over here. But my very first Alabama game, I actually got my very first 2 autographs were from you and Kevin. So that was a big deal for me, and I still have this to this day. So I thought it was a pretty big deal. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man, really do.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. All right. Well, look, man, I just want to. Hey, look, man, I'm always honored because I grew up in Alabama. I grew up hearing about Kevin Jackson, Fernando Bryant. I saw Marvin Constant when he was at Central Tuscaloosa when he came to Prattville. So I have extremely enjoyed hearing you guys talk ball. I could do this all night. I love football. And Fernando, you're right, man. It's B-Sci-Fi, and I can't wait till another A-Day comes. We'll be able to, after this COVID thing, everybody's been able to get back together. Marvin, you do a great job of bringing all the guys back, making sure you keep the connection there, man, and making sure that we all get back together and do some things outside of just A-Day, together as just all alumni. Keep that up, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for reaching out to me. You can holler me, Harp41 on Instagram, Harp_41 on Instagram, Harp41 on Twitter. So check me out, man. Hopefully I keep getting better on this TV thing, man. I'm going to get there.
Well, we definitely looking forward to it. And yes, guys, the barbecue hopefully will be back on with a few other events this upcoming 8-8. Hopefully COVID will cooperate so we can get our events off this year, but we'll see.
All right, Kevin, that leaves you.
Yeah, I see. Man, I'm honored to thank you guys for even inviting me on this show with two great legends of University of Alabama football players, Roman and Fernando. Those guys was unbelievable, and a great host guy, Marvin. He was unbelievable. Watching him when I was coming back some, and just honored to be here with you guys, and man, y'all doing some great things, and keep it up, man, and keep getting guys together. And like you said, whatever you need from me, man, you guys got my number. Marvin, you got my number. Just holler at me. I'll be there if you need anything. Man, I need to get that book too. Whatever, send me where I need to send my money, because I need to get ripped up like you. Cause boy, you look good. You're looking real good. I was just when I seen that book, when I seen that cover, I'm like, damn. I said, boy.
Hey man, I'm just trying to live good in my 40s. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, you're doing a damn good job. I can tell you that, brother. Hey, y'all keep it up, man. And thanks, man. And God bless each and every one of you guys.
Again, I just want to thank you all, man. And while I'm thinking about it, next week's show, next Tuesday, we're going to talk more about Dylan Moses, but we're going to do it with Jarrell Harris and Courtney Upshaw. Yeah, we're going to bring some more heat. We're going to bring the linebacker, so I'm going to be a lot more involved next Tuesday.
I hear you.
I'll just be there introducing the show and just let those guys talk. Hey, but if you want to order Marvin's book, you can actually go on our website. We have a link to order that. So go ahead and get it packaged and sent to you. It's an amazing book. So I got to get a hold of it myself. But as far as next week, very excited. And guys, I'm definitely glad to have y'all on. Y'all definitely meant a lot to me, watching y'all when I was growing up, and then Roman when I was there with you. Tremendous character, guys. That's one thing that I love about both y'all's eras. That's one thing that can definitely be said across the board. Your work ethic, your tenacity, and how y'all were as leaders, even though Harp, you said you weren't a leader. But I mean, it's just amazing the heart you all had, and it carried over in each stage of your lives. And it's what Alabama football is all about. So I was really excited when Marvin told me you guys would be on. So thank y'all for coming. Really excited about it, and I can't wait to actually hear the replay. And you can hear the replay tomorrow on the sportscast.net right after you order Marvin's book. So
there you go. Hey guys, man, y'all have a good night, and thank you again.
All right, fellas, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Roll tide.
Yep, roll tide. All right.